All right, Sistas fans, the show is back. Season 3, Episode 12, entitled The Dollar Store. And believe it or not, a few things made sense in the episode. Okay, that was bad. But either way, I think this was a pretty decent episode to come back on. I mean, I think an 8 out of 10 is a valid score for the episode because I enjoyed it for what it was. That's not to say it was perfect, but I did enjoy it from start to finish. So, before moving forward, alarmingly, over 70% of the views on the channel come from non-subscribers. So, if you have yet to hit subscribe, please do so. I'm trying to hit 200,000 before the end of the year. Hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. Not required, but appreciated. So, let's jump right into it. So, we pick up where we left off. And Q has Maurice at gunpoint, basically telling him how he plans on having Maurice carry him down to the bank, and get all the money. But, well, he doesn't really know how banks work because of the fact that Maurice is an employee, but it needs a manager to actually open up the vault. And he mentions, what about that girl you're just talking about, Sabrina? But then I'm like, it's the middle of the night, so what are you going to do? I'm like, I know there's no way he's going to go all the way over to Sabrina's place and grab her to open the vault, because how would that make sense? Plus Calvin's over there. But we find out how things work out at the end of the episode, but we'll get there when we get there. And Maurice tries to stall. He tries to persuade Q not to do this. I mean, he even tries to reach for his clothes in the drawer, but I mean, who would believe he would have his clothes in that little side drawer by the, by the side of the bed? And Q's like, yeah, I already grabbed the gun out of there, so don't start the bull crap. And Maurice tries to, add some comedy here, but he's like, look, I need to make sure if I'm on the news, I look good. I'm not wearing mismatched. So Q randomly throws him like a shirt and some slippers instead of shoes, and then they leave. So it was a tense opening of the episode, but I want to be completely honest, because this happened at the end of the episode and we didn't get follow-up until the tail end of the episode, I had forgotten all about it. The only time I even thought about this again was about 3 scenes later, but we'll get to that. So next up, we have Karen and Aaron watching a movie. And look, I know a lot of people like Aaron, but I feel like this scene shows this dude, there's a reason he was Gary's spiritual advisor, because they're so much alike. I know you might not believe it, but based off how he told Karen about certain things, it just seems like he's Gary 2.0. Just lighter and a pastor. So Karen's enjoying the movie, and then Aaron passively asks, wow, you wanted to start that movie quick, huh? Yeah, I just wanted to do something. Basically to avoid the question of the marriage and of the proposal. And Karen at first is like, no, you're just playing, aren't you? And then Aaron's like, no, I'm serious. And seriously, go back to episode 11, and he literally told her about how he had to step down from the men's group leading it because he's a hypocrite for having sex without being married. And then says, well, if we get married, that means the sex wouldn't be sinful. And I know a person who can marry us right now. Tell me that doesn't seem like he just wants to get married for sex. Seriously. So Karen explains how she's not ready for that. Look, we barely know each other. I don't know you like that. You don't know me like that. Well, I know enough. What the hell? Excuse my French. I'm talking about a pastor, but come on now. I went to seminary. It just doesn't make sense, guys. Seriously, it doesn't make sense. So really, to talk about this more, Karen talks about the slow walk. And if you are a Bruh fan, Pam used the same phrase when talking to Mike towards the end of season 1. I'm pretty sure there was an episode entitled The Slow Walk. So, Aaron tries to make it clear that it's his mission to make her love him. And Karen tries to stop him, like, wait, no, I don't think so. It's like, look, when I saw you and Zach in that salon, it was like a wave of anger that just hit me. And I wanted to mess you up. And I'm thinking, does that mean he wanted to do harm to both Karen and Zach? Or does he mean mess them up in terms of mess up their relationship? Because there's a huge difference there. And Karen was even like, that doesn't sound good at all. And he goes on to say, you know what? I went home and that's when I decided I wanted to get him off your mind. I wanted to prove I was better than him. I wanted to, show I was the one for you. And that's when he showed up drunk and then got naked. And then Karen was like, put your clothes on. Let me give you some coffee. That happened, in like the first episode of this season. So Karen goes on to say, one of the reasons I'm hesitant is because you're just like Zach. What? No, I mean, me and him were in a situation just like this where when we first started out, he was kind, he was understanding, but then as time went on, he showed his true colors, and I don't want to end up in the same situation, which is understandable because that was a relationship. Aaron's talking about flat out getting married right now. And then she says, because I think, Aaron's like, would you marry him? Well, let's not even go there. So she says, I'm still in love with Zach, but it makes sense. And Aaron is somewhat understanding of that because Zatima fans, put your pitchforks and torches down and just hear me out. They just officially ended. They had like, what was it, a 2 or 3 year on and off relation? I think it was 3 years. You just can't shut that off. And I honestly don't think it was the come up, the money. I think it's really like Karen and Zach still had these feelings because remember, they screwed each other when he was still, next to broke. Aside from that $40,000. Or was it $50,000? I forgot. But in any case, I think Aaron has some sort of motive. Something definitely isn't right. And from there, the movie's over. It's like, what do you want to do now? And she's like, I just want you to hold me. And that was it. I was thinking either at some point he would rub her feet or they would have sex. Because that's like his signature trademark with her and the sex. But then again, I thought, they probably wouldn't have sex due to the fact that they aren't married. But she just asked to be held. And that's pretty much it. Okay. So we go over to the law firm in Andy's office, and her and Robin are going at it. I don't know what it was because it really hasn't been that long since we've seen Andy. I don't know why, but was it the vanilla heels? Was it the way she was going at it on the couch? But damn, she was fine. I don't know why. I mean, she's obviously always fine, but there was something about that scene I was like, wow. But in any case, she puts a stop to it, and then they both go back to their seats, and, she's like, you know what, no, I can't cross that line, and, Robin pretty much puts 2 and 2 together. It's like, well, Andy, you literally got into Robin just now, and then after it's like, no, I'm engaged, and then Robin's like, well, I don't notice the ring on your finger, well, we just had a fight, so this is just to get your mind off of him, because he pretty much knows what this is about. And Andy's like, well, I just can't cross the line. And Robin's like, don't worry, I wouldn't cross that line. I know how to stop, control myself. So me and you on the couch just now, you being hard, you would have controlled it. And then he pretty much calls himself out. Yeah, you know what? I lied. I just couldn't. Like, you're telling me you didn't feel anything. And from there, he's like, you know what? You're a tease, but I like it. Oh, okay. So she asked the question, look, a guy with your credentials and whatnot, good looking, why are you still single? And he pretty much says, I just haven't found the right person, so that means you date a lot. Yeah, but nothing truly official. And it's interesting, excuse me, for Andy to say that because unlike her, Fatima and Robin both do the same thing. Well, I guess you could say, and I don't really know Robin that well, obviously, but Fatima, had her heart broken, so she opted to just date and not feel anything. Whereas Robin just decided, hey, I'm not going to settle down until I find the right one, as opposed to Andy, who definitely settled by going after somebody who was already married, and we saw how that turned out. So she acts a certain way and then acts like she's kind of able to judge others, which is stupid. But in any case, from there, he's like, well, I wanted to, have this moment with you, have sex before I go to London, just had the thought of you on my mind. And she's like, I can't do it. So, before he eventually leaves to go home, he's like, look, let me get one, to go to the hotel. He's like, let me get one last kiss. So they do. And he's saying, did you feel that? Yes. There's something going on bigger than us. And then he leaves. So this is the scene that had me going, Maurice. It's the next morning and we're over at Calvin and Sabrina's. And I'm like, so did they stay at the bank? What's going on? So Calvin and Sabrina are in bed and she's not ready to commit, but Calvin's like, hey, I understand. But she said, and so he asked the question, what about seeing other people? She doesn't want them to see other people, but he asked her to let him know, okay, I understand you don't want to be exclusive. You don't want to commit, but if you decide that you want to see someone else, could you please let him know about it? And she's like, yes, as long as it ain't that guy from the bank. Jacoby's like, no, it won't be him, I promise. So it's around 6 a.m. and he's like, look, I'll leave. I know you got to get up in a couple hours to go to work. And she doesn't want him to leave, but it's like, oh, I don't want you to leave, but I love watching you walk away. This was a cute moment. I still don't like these two together. These two together, they literally, what was the point? Oh, I missed you. Oh, I missed you too. And then he says, I love you, when she can't say it back. But he's like, look, you don't have to say it, Sabrina. I get it. I'm not trying to make you. You can tell me when and if you're ready. So then he leaves. But I'm like, what was the point of them randomly hooking up if there was nothing to come from it? Seriously, it makes no sense. I mean, in the last episode, Sabrina's like, you know what? Why should we even care what other people think? We should do things our way. Well, clearly you're doing absolutely nothing because you aren't in a relationship. You literally had a late night booty call with Calvin, kind of in the same way with Jacoby. In a way. The only difference is Jacoby didn't stay the night. So I don't see the purpose of this, but Sabrina's so damn adorable, so I really can't be mad. Alright, so the next scene, we go over to Andy returning to her apartment. So where the hell was she after she left her office? Did she just sleep there? But Gary confronts her, and when she says, I was at the gym, she's pretty much throwing shade. And this is the part where I'm like, Gary's still on his BS, but he does make a couple of points. So the first thing he says, when Andy tries to retort, well, yeah, what about you? What are you up to? Did you have more women in my bed? And when he said, that was for us. What the hell? Make it make sense. Look, I know Karen said, yeah, it's not it's unusual to some, but it's not unheard of for people to have sex therapists. But to have a woman on top of you and then have your female therapist observing in the bed of your fiance, in the bedroom of your fiance, in the bed too, but I mean, let's just talk about in the bedroom, where not 48 hours ago, your ex-wife broke in, attempted to kill both you and your fiance, and you don't think there would be any kind of feelings. It just, no, Gary, just no. But from there, it's just a back and forth in regards to, but you know what? My therapist said this about you. That's what it is. She says you're the type that loves the drama. And she's filling your head with nonsense. And this is when I was like standing beside Gary, like, I imagine myself sitting on the couch watching these two go at him like, well, Gary ain't wrong because Andy is a shit starter because she loves this kind of stuff. Remember, it isn't always just about Gary. She does this with her friends too. Go back to episode 11 when she went over to the salon to see Karen to talk about Gary, pretty much Vince. Karen was just in a chill mood, and I remember praising Karen in that episode because Andy's like, you know, why do men do this shit? And then Karen's like, well, it's not unheard of. That sex therapist is a real thing. And I'm just like, there have been plenty of times where the girls, or specifically Karen, say, don't mess around with Gary. But then Andy will go to the salon. She will start shit with Karen before going right back to Gary. That happened in a couple times in season 2. So that Gary and the therapist, I ain't gonna lie, they are absolutely right about Andy. I mean, she even told Karen at some point, you know, Gary being jealous, it is kind of sexy at times. This heifer loves drama. So Gary leaves because, you know, you just want a trigger a fight. You just want to get the drama started. Yeah, I got to get up in 3 hours of work. I'm going to bed. Yeah, you know what? I'm leaving too. Where are you going? To the gym? Oh, yeah. When you go to the gym, tell her I said hello. Oh, I will. So he leaves, and then she's like, damn it. Because my thing is, if she didn't like the drama, she would have kicked Gary's ass to the curb. Seriously, pack up your shit. Why are you still even here? She loves this drama. Andy, you doing this to yourself. I don't feel bad for you. So then we get some Zatima scene, and I know a lot of people like this. So, you know, Fatima's getting up. She has to get ready for work. And Zach has the same demeanor as me. As somebody who doesn't have to punch an alarm clock. You just wake up and you make money when you want to make money. But in any case, at noon, he wants her to come by a townhouse that it isn't just, you know, well, you know what? I think it really is about, you know, we should pick out something together, but he values her opinion. And, you know, at first I thought this was well, yeah, you know, you work with chain breakers, so I felt like, you know, you being there would be a good thing since you have experience in, you know, renting out, refurbishing property. But she says, you know what, I'll have to see if I'm free, and he'll text her the address. So last episode, Zatima was actually made canon within the continuity of the show because Zach says, are you team Zatima? Now, apparently, he wants to be called Real Estate Bay, and she's going to be Lawyer Bay. And before having a morning quickie, she is starting to fall for him hard. At least she's honest enough to say that now, because earlier in the season and last season, she would say that to the other women and other people, but wouldn't say it to Zach. And I can actually see why, because based on how I've acted like Zach before, to my detriment, where I would have some form of a come up, not always monetary. It isn't always about money, but sometimes I would think too far in advance in regards to moving around my schedule to accommodate, you know, a girl, or think about building a life with her when in reality I should be focusing on me. And I feel like that's something Zach needs to think about, because if he picks this house, if he makes certain decisions based on him and Fatima, what will happen if they ever break up? You see what I'm saying here? I think the only misstep Zach has is, even though I feel like he's so sure about Zatima that he's neglecting Fatima's feelings about it, you know? So I'm looking at this from a average fan's perspective, not a diehard Zatima fan's perspective, you know, because I could see Zatima fans rolling their eyes at Fatima being nervous. Oh, here we go again. But I honestly see why she's acting hesitant, and reasonably so. So from there, you know, they do their thing before work. All right, so we go over to Danny checking on Sabrina, and I forgot to mention this in the last scene, but her room is a mess. What the hell? What in the name of just monkey sex were her and Calvin doing last night? And she wants to talk briefly about the situation with Preston because he left. He just up and left. But Danny, didn't you say you wanted space? Well, usually he calls me by now, but he hasn't called yet. Why don't you call him? Well, no, I can't say I want space and then call him this soon. And then Sabrina is talking to Danny the same way Danny was talking to Sabrina earlier in the season and a bit in season 2. Literally, Sabrina was speaking for the fans. Danny, you're the one who said you wanted space. I'm not really trying to talk about this right now. I ain't really trying to talk about this. This was literally the same thing last season. Oh no, Jacoby called. It's a booty call. Oh, what about Calvin? Look, I ain't got time for this, girl. Do what you want to do. I'm about to, smoke this pen and go to sleep. That's literally the scene right here. So Danny literally wanted the space, and then Preston gave the space by leaving. And it's like, yeah, it felt great waking up in bed by myself, but maybe I do kind of miss him. You did it to yourself. And this was really Danny's only scene in the episode, so I really can't complain that much. But it's pretty much sowing the seeds of what was said by Mignon in the interview for TV Line, which I did like a 20-minute video on. So, it was a cute scene because Sabrina is just so freaking adorable. So, Danny just goes to work because she ain't got time for this. It's like, I'm just going to, smoke some and be good. Like, yeah, you do that. Okay, you do that. I'm just going to rest. So, from there, we go over to Fatima's job. And she gets a phone call from Zach because, Zach is just chilling at her place until it's time to go check out the townhouse. And she calls saying, I missed you. I've only been gone an hour. And hey, can you get off now? Because I actually need to go over there early in order to check out the townhouse earlier than noon. But yeah, I can't leave. I just got here. Partners are here. It's not a good look. Well, you know how you girls talk. Just call Andy and just tell Andy you got to leave. But she's like, I can go at noon. But hey, this is your money. This is your house. But yeah, I want you to be there. Look, I'll be there by noon. And this little bastard Hayden is listening on the other line. How'd you get money for a new getting a house? And Zach said, oh yeah, you want to get a ride in my new car. He's like, oh, a new car. I gotta look into this. So he makes a few calls, and Hayden then walks into her office, basically saying, so your boy quit chain breakers, huh? Well, why would he do that? He ain't doing anything illegal, is he? And he's just being a little bitch about it. So she gets called into Andy's office, and Andy's like, so he's still harassing you? Don't worry, girl, I got it. And hey, you know what? They'll chat later. I mean, this was a quick scene, really nothing to go into. They'll have their girl talk later about what's going on. So we go over to Andy getting a call into the main office by Mr. Vincent, and he introduces Andy and Robin, and it's like, oh, we met each other already. Oh yeah, that's right, about the recent divorce case. Yeah, that's right. I hope you didn't go too hard on her. I mean, I hope she didn't go too hard on you. Oh, she went hard just enough. And I ain't gonna lie, KJ, that seductive look she kind of gave, that little, look up and down when he said that to her, that was sexy. And Hayden, I think, caught on to that. I don't know if he, he was just kind of there. I don't know if he caught that, but I feel like he did. So, given the fact that, the partnership was secured because it just happened just now, Hayden and Andy will just show Robin the ropes about how they do things at this particular law firm. So he leaves them to it. And Hayden, says, well, hey, I work in the tax part of the law. And remember, Mike from Bruh also works in that same department. So Hayden and Mike are the only two other black employees at the law firm. And they work in basically the tax side of things. Whereas Andy specializes in like divorce. And Fatima is her, assistant. So Hayden just says, I'm assuming you want him first. And Andy's like, what? And then Robin says, but Robin just goes in on Hayden. Look, to be completely honest here, I know that in the day and age we live in, the Me Too's and whatnot, I understand why what he said wouldn't fly today. But to me personally, and look, I do not like Hayden at all. I just want to make that clear. I don't think Robin needed to go in on him the way he did. Because he literally was like, what did I say? I meant, did you want to have him first to show him the ropes and then he can come see me? And then Robin went completely on defense. And Hayden's like, yeah, well, I just want to finish my conversation. Andy's like, so he literally doesn't give a crap. So before that, he just decides to walk out. All right, peace, bruh. Then Andy's like, well, thank you for that. Yeah, that attitude. He has no right to talk about it. When I end up, in my position, I'm going to have him fired. Yeah, you do that. I felt like the only reason this entire scene happened is because Andy, after their night together, misinterpreted what Hayden said, and as a result was visibly kind of offended, and as a result Robin came to her aid. Let me know what you thought of that scene. Again, put your hatred of Hayden aside and just look at the context of those three in the room. Don't think about what he did to Fatima just then, but literally I felt like that energy was off. So in any case, it turns out that Robin knows everything there is to know about Andy because of the fact that, yes, he didn't lie, but kind of like what Andy did to Gary, it was a lie of omission. Like, he told Andy stuff, but he didn't tell her everything. Yeah, so the partnership between the UK firm and your law firm, it's actually my partners taking over this law firm, so there's a chance I'm going to be your boss. And that's how I know everything about you. I know about your boyfriend, the investigation with the FBI. Basically, this was like the haves and have-nots equivalent of when Charles said he knew everything there is to know about Candace. And you have these women who are used to being in control, but now they feel vulnerable because, well, you know everything about me, but I don't know anything about you. And Robin pretty much, messages her on her phone. What's this, resumes? All kinds of files and articles there is to know about me. Even avocado toast is one of my favorite things to have in the morning. And I'm like, this is shady stuff because that's public information, meaning that Robin is only showing Andy what he wants her to see. Case in point, have and have nots. When Oscar was first introduced, and it was later revealed that, when Landon showed Candace information on who Oscar is, how he's wealthy, a widower, and this and that to impress her, later on, it was like, well, yeah, he showed me this website, and he told me to tell you about it so you could see information on him, but then it turned out to be fake. And then with Charles kept telling Candace, well, yeah, I know everything there is to know about you, but if you want to know everything there is to know about me, feel free to look up anything online. Even though that makes no sense given the fact that he kept making reference to the fact that he had people clean up his image so well that not even Landon, of all people, knew about Charles's past. So when Robin said, hey, there's everything there is to know about me, I call bull crap. So, from there, we go over to the last scene, and that's Sabrina arriving to the bank. It's pitch black. She calls Maurice because he's not there. He was supposed to open up. And you know what? I'm going to write you up because you should have been here. And then out of nowhere, Maurice is taken out by gunpoint by Q. And Maurice is like, Sabrina, do whatever he says. And then that's the end of the episode. So overall, I thought this was pretty decent. For me, the most like, wait, what the heck scene was when Robin went on Hayden the way he did. Do you think Hayden was being a little, shit for saying, I'm assuming you want him first because he noticed how they were looking at each other? Or do you think he literally just said it in an innocent way? Andy took it out of context due to their personal night together. And as a result, that's why he flew off the handle. So overall, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below for the dollar store. 8 out of 10 is what I scored it. Like I said before, please take a moment to hit subscribe. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal and Cash App. And I will catch you all in the next video.